cold September.
It's not freezing.
It snowed today.
No, in the mountains it snowed.
I know.
We have a dusting on the top of the mountains, which makes us a little bit sad already, but
winter's coming.
I'm still up to my elbows in peaches.
Yes.
I can't even start thinking about pumpkins and apples and all that yet.
Yes. So it's kind of the seasons are changing, which is really fun because it's cooking season and it's holiday season and it's kind of our favorite time of the year, but it's always sad to say goodbye to summer. But anyway, looking forward to fall. Thank you all for joining us. All of our Club V Pura members that are here, thanks so much for being here again. And it's fun seeing all of you here. Anyone new that's joining us from Eventbrite, welcome. We're glad to have you. And any new people, if this is your first show, I'm looking at all the names and seeing if we've got maybe some new people here and that others kind of will join us as we get started. Welcome. We're so excited to have you. We set out, it's been almost a year, believe it or not, since we published our book. We're more than halfway through all the recipes. We've got them all posted on vanillapura.com under our book section. We've got an index of just the recipes and the video tutorials for our book to help everyone get through everything because there's so many things that are going on. So, and today, I mean, just when we look at the itinerary today, there's a few things we're going to do. We're going to start our creamy coconut vanilla extract, which is a super fun one, like all by itself.
And it's done in 1 month.
Yeah.
It can be done in a month. So this is one of those that you can, get going pretty quickly.
So we love that, a 1 month one. Then we're starting our raspberry vanilla extract with fresh raspberries because it's berry season, which is tons of fun.
For a little bit longer.
Just a little longer. Our blackberries were like nuts this year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and now they're all kind of going away. We maybe have one more little.
With this cold weather, it's, it kind of puts the kibosh on the blackberries, but I still have a refrigerator and a freezer full of them. So.
And a bunch of new jam, which is so fun.
I know. I'm like, what do I do with them now? My next thing is blackberry brandy.
I know. She made a peach blackberry vanilla jam this year that is absolutely amazing with her mom was over it. The whole kitchen was blackberries and vanilla. So we're excited. That was, I think it's my new favorite. So we're going to make those two new ones, the coconut and the raspberry. Then we're going to update the peach vanilla that we started last month. Then we're going to update the spicy peach, which we started last month. Then we're going to update the peach caramel, which is a real tricky one that we started last month. Then we're going to update our chocolate vanilla extract that we started in June. It's time to remove the cacao. And so we're going to talk about that, and we're going to do a taste test, even though it's not finished yet. And we'll talk about why we're doing a taste test on the cacao. So it is a super full show. And because of the way like the extracts are made this time, we're going to do it a little bit backwards, right? We're going to start with the peaches and some of the change outs because they just take a little while, and we're excited to be able to demo caramel and our infusion in our peach extract, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to go backwards from what I just said.
Yep. We're going to do our change outs first with all 3 peach extracts, and then we'll make the new extracts at the end.
There you go. So our very first extract that we want to update is the one that we started last time. It's page 126 in our book. If you're following along, it's our peach caramel vanilla extract, which is one of our favorites, but it's also one of the trickiest ones we make because the caramel presents such a funny thing that we've got to work through. And we'll talk about how to do that here, right?
Yeah, it's a mix between an extract and an infusion. We're adding that caramel in there. And so you've got that sugar. And so, I don't know if we can actually call it an extract slash infusion, right?
We say that in our book. Like, we kind of acknowledge that some of the things we're doing are infusions, maybe emulsions. They all like have their own place. And in our case, we call them all extracts because we start with the basic FDA, 1 ounce of material to every 8 ounces of 35% alcohol. When I say material, meaning ingredients. And then we adjust based on that baseline for fresh fruits and for other things. And so we get kind of a blend. So we call them all extracts because we're using the properties of extract making, but this one's like a hybrid, which is really, really fun. So
and there's so many things you can do with this one.
Totally.
And so it's just fun.
Just fun.
Okay, so the reason I want to start with this is because, you think it's really thick and solidified, but when you, kind of toggle it back and forth, you can see all of those vanilla specks, and it's pretty liquid still. But if you let this one go, this is the one that's not very forgiving. If you let this go too long, it will solidify into something like this. It almost looks like peanut butter. The caramel will soak up all of your alcohol and all of the fruit juice. And then you'll just have this glob of, looks like peanut butter.
It looks like peanut butter. And we love showing this because this is one of the early mistakes that we made. And we hold on to this jar just for that reason, that we forgot to do the change out. We were super busy at the time. It was pushed in the back of the cupboard. We didn't have really our system to organize us. And that's what happened to it.
I didn't even forget about it that much longer. It's just, it really does soak up the alcohol quite quickly. Extracts are pretty forgiving. If you don't get the, like a raspberry extract, if you do not change it out right at the right time, you're going to be okay. It's just not going to extract anymore. It's not going to ruin it. You can come in, take the raspberries out, and then if you need to put more in, you can put those in, and you'll be fine. But with this particular extract, that you don't want to forget about it, because the caramel will soak up everything. And so we are in the middle of this extract. It's been going for 1 month, and we are going to I'm just using my Chemex, and I'm going to put my coffee filter in it, and I'm going to dump it all into the coffee filter. And this takes a while, so that's why we're doing it first. We're just going to dump it in here, and then we're going to move on with everything, and then we're going to check in on it ever so often so you can see kind of how it works. And we get so many emails and questions on, oh my gosh, this doesn't look right, or there isn't anything left, it's soaked everything up. And so we really want to show you kind of see how thick that kind of looks. It takes time for it to kind of go in and separate through the filter. When you're finished, it looks like this.
So we'll do the close-up of the cam there, just so you can see it. But this is what the final one.
How beautiful is that amber color? So when you're finished, and that means through this next step that we're going to do, we're going to let this go, and it's going to filter out, and then we're going to put another 4 ounces in. The reason I'm filtering it now,
4 ounces of peaches, right?
Sorry, yes,
yep.
4 ounces of peaches. The reason why I don't just take the peaches out and put it back in with the caramel in there is that it really will soak up more alcohol than I want it to. And it's really very sweet right now. And so I think I'm good on the caramel side. I need to add a little more peach flavor and then let that vanilla catch up. And so that's kind of where we're at this point. So we're going to just...
So this is, and just to clarify, this is a change out that we're doing. It's not going to be done when we finish letting it filter right here. This is just sort of the halfway point. Not even the halfway point, because we've got to let the vanilla come forward after that. So if you'll recall, we started with Everclear, 195 proof. We added the 8 ounces of fresh peaches. Now we're going to add the 4 ounces of fresh peaches. We've already done the math where that gets us, with the moisture content of the fresh peaches, that gets us down to just right above 35% alcohol. It's like 37.5 based on the moisture content of the peaches. And then it'll be done. So we're going to add even more peach fluid to this when we're done. The step calls for the removal of the caramel for all the reasons that Jill just said. And you can kind of see, if you show underneath here, because we want to show this. This is sort of a behind the curtain of this beautiful finished extract, but you see like these clumps of caramel that haven't fully dissolved yet right here and in other places. We're going to take all those out. So we think it's time to get rid of the caramel. Plenty of it has been infused. And so now all that's left over, we're getting rid of it. The only thing going back in are the peaches, or excuse the fresh peaches and the vanilla beans.
For right? 1 more month.
For 1 more month. And so some of that obviously is peaches that have like stuck to some of the caramel. There's clumps. It's a real funny looking one. And that's why we're spending so much time on this phase, because, and you can see it all draining. I wish we could put the camera sideways, but it's starting to fill up. Well, you can see it in the video there, but it's starting to fill up with this clear fluid, which is lovely. But it just takes time. How long were you going to leave this one?
It's going to take hours. Yeah, but we just want you to see how it looks, the consistency of it. If it is this thick, you're going to be okay.
You're going to be okay. Just let it drain, and then you're going to add more peach juice when we do the second change out. So it's going to become even more. There's going to be more liquid that's being added. Your alcohol content's going to be right on, and it's going to allow those vanilla beans to continue extracting for another 6 months to get to that perfect blend of peach and vanilla. So this is a complicated one that is a really fun one. It was fun for us to make. We've learned a lot as we've kind of gone through, but you can see it's doing its thing right now. So we're just going to set it aside.
And over time, when this starts to come down a little bit, I can remove some of this. I'll put some of the vanilla back in, and I'll get rid of some of the caramel. I'll start seeing the different pieces. It'll make it a little bit easier, but I just don't mess with it much until it kind of settles and lets me see what everything is and what I need to get rid of and what I need to put back in.
There you go. So there we go.
I'm going to just put this over here for now.
So we're going to put a comma right here, and we're going to come back to this at the end of the show. I keep calling it the show. The end of the workshop. Like this is a show. Woohoo! Woo! At the end of our workshop, we'll come back to it. We'll touch it up. We'll kind of hurry it along a little bit because it's not going to be done dripping, but we're going to go ahead and add the fresh peaches into the final
we'll
bottle.
add the fresh peaches into the bottle. I'm not going to clean out. I mean, you could clean out the jar if you want, but you're going to have to filter it one more time if you want it to be as clear as the end product that I just showed you. You're going to have to do a second filtering. Anytime you want your extracts to be this clear, you need to use a coffee filter.
Yeah.
Because
can't use a cheesecloth for this one.
And you can't use just a sieve.
A strainer.
Yeah.
Like strainers aren't going to work on this one if you want it to be clear.
Yeah.
If you want all the little oils and little specks and little pieces, then as long as you like the taste, it's fine. But we like this one, especially as a gift. When you give it like that, it's just this beautiful, and the smell is amazing. It's peach vanilla.
It's so
that
sweet.
Caramel undertone, which is really fun. So, so we like getting as much of the caramel out as we can, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, nobody wants it. You don't want to see any of that milky looking color in your extracts, right? That's not appealing.
Yeah. Because the gift matters, right? The way that it looks. Okay, so we're going to put a comma right there. Okay.
Yep.
So on our peach caramel vanilla, we're going to come back to that at the end of the workshop to finish adding the peaches. But we're just going to let it keep dripping, and you guys will be able to sort of watch. Let me see if I can scoot it back a little bit. But you'll kind of, might be kind of tricky. I don't know that we're going to get it in the video. There it is. You can sort of watch it dripping, and it'll just kind of slowly fill through the course of our workshop today. But it's doing its job. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Okay. Very next one. So moving on, we're on now page, I'm just going to go from the bottom up, right? So this is the spicy peach. Is that the one?
This is our peach vanilla.
So this is peach vanilla extract, page 125. I think I said 125 for the peach caramel. That's on 126. So this is the page 125, just the basic peach vanilla extract that we started a month ago.
Would you mind handing me that strainer there?
The big one, right?
Yep. Okay, so I'm at the point, this has been in here for a month, so I'm just going to take out my little fermentation weight. I didn't start out with it, but over time I noticed that they kind of came up, and so I just put that weight in here and it helped. I'm just going to pour it in here.
All right. And I'm going to be the good assistant, bringing the towel.
Because I'm making a mess like that.
Well, I forgot to put the towel out. There you go.
So I'm just putting back all of the vanilla beans. And then I'm going to push down on my peaches. Now, someone asked me in an email just yesterday what I do with these peaches when I'm done. You know, they're full of Everclear. And so, and a lot of the flavor is gone. So I don't know how much you can do with them. I have made sugar. Gosh, was it our cherry?
Yes.
What's cherry? Let's see.
Right there.
I do want to show you this real quick. We were talking about, we made the cherry vanilla extract, and we were talking about what do you do with those cherries, and people are like, eat them. Wow, that's a strong cherry.
So we really experimented after that cherry workshop because we had them and they were all done, but the Everclear is so strong that, and all the flavor from the cherry is almost entirely gone. And so it was really hard.
Oh, no, there's still flavor in there.
Almost,
if you let them dry out and then you put it in your sugar with the vanilla beans.
Well, that's what we're getting to.
Yeah.
You're giving the punchline. I'm setting up the story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we left it out because we were messing around with sugar. We were messing around keeping them like with vanilla beans. We were trying to do all these things to see how we can make them really taste good. And it was really difficult. They did not taste good by themselves. But we found out how to make sugar with it. And this was the breakthrough for us, right? And that's what you're holding.
It took a little extra sugar
Uh-huh.
than some other things that I've made. I kept tasting it. I'm like, oh,
not good.
It's still strong. But once I got to the, that sweet spot, now I have this pink sugar. It is so, will you show this up close? I probably, from one extract, let's see.
There it is. That way. There we go. And there's a little bit of a cherry taste to it.
Oh, there is a cherry taste to it.
Yes.
It's delicious.
So we found the sweet spot. My grandma used to say, if you add enough sugar to anything, it'll taste good, right? And there's some truth to that. And so we did. We just kept like adding and adding. But we finally found the sweet spot where now we have a cherry sugar, which this is our first time making that. We've never had before, and it actually turned out pretty good.
And this, I made, from one extract, I made 3 of these little yogurt jars of sugar. So I got quite a bit of sugar out of just one extract.
Yeah.
So you can try that with the peaches. The cherry was a little stronger, I think, than the peaches I've tried.
Mm-hmm.
But give it a try and see what you think.
Yeah, we may try it as well. We'll see. I don't want to overcommit because we're going into the holidays and birthday season, and we've got so much going on right now. But we may try it. We'll see.
Okay, you know what I'm doing. I'm just getting all the liquid out of these peaches. I'm using a cocktail muddle because that's what I like to use. But, you all have your own way of, you can use the potato masher or bottom of the jar. Who is that, Debbie?
Debbie. Yeah, use the bottom of the jar.
The bottom of the jar. Hello, what a smart thing to do because the jar is right there, right?
And we talk about all these methods. We know, like in every discussion when we're talking about fresh fruit, we always like divert and talk about Everclear. We talk about the muddle. And the reason we do that is we have a lot of people now that are in the middle of making one of our extract recipes, and they're coming to our tutorials for the very first time. So they haven't seen all the others. They're not watching the whole thing. They're just watching the segment on peach vanilla. So that's why within a lot of these segments, we might be a little bit redundant, but that's the reason why we're trying to capture as many of the how-tos in that little segment of the video where we just make the peach or just make the peach caramel or one of these other ones. So, I still want to crack the joke about using the wrong side of the muddle, but I will not do that because you were doing it correctly this time.
Sorry.
No, you did it correctly. I was so proud of you. Look at you go.
Go by the rules.
No, she's not a rule follower.
Okay, so you guys, I have 8 ounces here. It's perfect. Right on the money. 8 ounces. So I'm going to put that back into my jar.
So again, this one, we started with the 195 proof Everclear. We added peaches, which are about 85% moisture content, which means our alcohol content right now in this is about 50%. Now we're going to add half the amount of peaches. So we're going to cut the moisture content of the original add in half. And the dilution rate will end up at about 37 to 38% alcohol, which is above that minimum 35% that we want to hit.
Yeah, because right now it tastes pretty Everclear-y.
Pretty, yes. You can smell the Everclear.
Oh.
It's there. I can actually smell the vanilla coming through.
I can.
And I can certainly smell the peaches, but there's definitely alcohol.
I tasted it. It's definitely not ready.
Yes, definitely not ready, which is why we do the second round.
That's right. So, I'm not going to put the fermentation weight in. It's covered. It looks great. So I'm just going to leave it just like that and see what I do with my lid.
Let's see. Do I have it?
Here it is.
There we go.
Okay, so for another month, I've got my tape here. I'm going to change out in 1 month. I also have a little spreadsheet that I keep on my computer because you can see how this can get. I'm sure you guys have your own way of doing this. It can get so confusing on, shoot, what am I supposed to do this month?
Well, that's where the journals, that we've got, you can print them out online. There's others that you can find as well. And a lot of people have 3-ring binders, so they can just kind of 3-hole punch them and then go through and keep track because there are a great many for sure. So, okay, wonderful. So there's the update. That's the change out of our peach vanilla extract from page 125. We got so many today. I know.
Well, it's from our peach extravaganza, right?
Yes,
We did
seriously.
3 all in a row. And the nice thing is that the change outs come all at the same time. And we did it on purpose because we're going into the end of peaches here. I'm not seeing so many out there. Like a week
No.
ago, they were everywhere. And now, our farmer stands, not so much. And so we did it now because, you've got to take advantage of when that fresh fruit is out. Because once you pass that window, you got to wait till next year. Unless you want to try freeze-dried fruit or dehydrated fruit.
Exactly. So our next one here is our spicy peach vanilla from page 128. This is the 128. So this is the peach vanilla. The twist on this one is we use a high-proof rum, and we didn't have it for ours because we talked about that in the very first segment where you had to call an audible because there was high-proof rum available when we made the first one. When we went to make this one, we couldn't find it anywhere in Utah. So we ended up going with Everclear, calling the audible, and so we're following the same principles here. So this one, we're taking the cinnamon out and the peaches out, right? And doing a change out.
We're going to take the cinnamon and the peaches out, and then we're going to put 4 ounces of peaches back in and another cinnamon. Whoops, I just dropped my muddle.
All good.
So I'm going to use my same strainer because it's the exact same ingredients, in addition just cinnamon here. So I'm not going to contaminate the taste at all.
Now, had you used the high-proof rum, you wouldn't be able to do a second edition, right? Because most high-proof rum is about 160 proof. So when you add that first 8 ounces of peaches, you would be down in that like 40% alcohol. So it would allow for very few peaches to be added in on a second change out. You'd have to get your calculator out and do some math where maybe you could add an ounce or two and still be above that minimum 35%. So if you had used a high proof, you would be taking out the peaches. We would be putting the cinnamon, a new cinnamon stick, or the old vanilla beans back in, and we would be at the alcohol content that we want. But since we used, there's your muddle, I cleaned it for you. Since we used Everclear, we're going to go ahead and add the 4 ounces, so half the amount of peaches, just like we did for the other ones, because we can. And we like, whenever we're using fresh fruit, we like maxing out the amount of fresh fruit that we can use, again, so long as we keep that alcohol content above 35% to get a good extract with the vanilla beans and the cinnamon that are also in there. But by the way, this one already.
You can smell the cinnamon, can't you?
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead. It's like wassail. It's holiday season. Like I just got goosebumps when I said wassail. How weird is that? I know, but I'm so excited for that. Now I'm not sad that it's snowing.
In my wassail, but
that's like the smell that I just got with the cinnamon and the peach. Like maybe there's something with like a wassail. I don't know, but
you're onto something here, love.
Well, the goosebumps say I'm onto something. Just never doubt the goosebumps.
This makes me think of when I was a little girl. We bottled everything: pears, peaches, cherries. It was a busy summer, and so my mom would always put cinnamon in with the peaches, and it was so wonderful because it was our dessert in the winter. So in the middle of the winter for dessert, we'd get pop open that can of peaches and cinnamon, and it was the best treat. And that's what it makes me think of.
Totally. And what is it about like canning and getting back to the kitchen? Like Jill's mom was here last week making the jam, and it was so much fun. Is it just the nostalgia, I think, of making stuff together? And what you're making is delicious. I don't know. There's just sort of this feeling in the kitchen when you're doing things like that speaks of home and childhood and growing up and different times than we're living in today. I sound old-fashioned, don't I?
Well, doing something with someone else is always more fun than doing it alone, right?
Totally. It is fun, but wow, this smells amazing. So again, the original recipe with like a high proof rum where you get like the spice of the rum coupled with the spice of the cinnamon inside the peaches. This is it's just one really additional ingredient from the peach vanilla. We just add cinnamon and then you use rum instead of Everclear in the original recipe. And those changes make an entirely different spin on peach extract, which is really good.
It does, but I do want to tell you, if you can get your hands on that rum, you should, because it adds another level of flavor that is wonderful. And I would do one with Everclear and one with rum, so you can, taste the difference if you can get a hold of the rum.
Totally. And I'm trying to think of the name of it right now. We talked about it in the
Plantation.
Plantation. That's what it was. Thank you. So, and it was a 160 proof that we used in our very first one.
That, the name of the one we used before.
Right. That's because there is
what was it
plantation.
again?
I can't recall it. We mentioned it in our first segment of the peach vanilla spice. So you have to watch that and see it, but it's wonderful. So if you can make it with the rum, it's even better. But this looks really good and it smells really good.
Oh, look at the color of that.
There we go. We're about 8 ounces. Did it all add up?
Let's see.
Right at it?
Yep, right at 8 ounces.
Perfect.
So this one looks a little darker. We've got the cinnamon in there.
Oh, that's interesting how much darker it is, isn't it? Look at that with the cinnamon.
And
that
this
is so
my
interesting.
Ounces of peaches, which I pre-measured.
So again, we're moving pretty quickly. There's probably still some moisture in these peaches that you could get out. When you're at home, just take your time, get the muddle out of the jar, whatever it is, and you know, play some nice music, you know, whatever. Just kind of like take your time, get all that out, because we probably get even more moisture out of if we were spending more time on it.
Yes. I just cracked my 1 stick of Ceylon cinnamon. If you're very sensitive to cinnamon and you don't love cinnamon, you don't have to put more in. But this one, I love all the cinnamon, and that's what makes it a little bit different than the peach vanilla.
Exactly.
So, and again, I am gonna just put my tape on for changing out on 10/17. I've got to take off my last one, and I'm going to put this one on. I'm going to put this in the cupboard and wait another month.
So we'll check in on this one and many others next month. By the way, we've already got our next schedule out. I think it's October 12th. I should have looked, but if you look in our Facebook group or on our Facebook page at Vanilla Pura, you'll see our next event that's scheduled for the next workshop, where we're doing caramel apples, among other things. We'll be doing the change outs of the peaches. So that's going to be a fun one, but they're getting fuller and fuller and fuller and fuller of more and more things that we're doing. And then we actually did the math, and we think we're going to be through like our book probably by Marchish, like early spring. We ought to be done with our first part of the recipes, but it's going to take like a whole year to finish them out. So we're going to be doing this until 2026. Oh, gosh. So we expect all of you to be here in 2026, because we're going to have a big party when we have our last, you see that? It changes everything. We're going to have a party when we have our very last one, because that will have been like a journey, right? So there you go. You're all invited to the party.
Okay.
Okay, what's next? Oh, is it time? We're done with the change outs?
We are done. No,
well, the peach change outs.
We're done with the peaches. So our 3 peaches. Let's take a look at our
how's it coming along?
No, can you kind of see there's some stuff at the bottom there, and it's completely and totally clear.
Yeah.
And I'll probably pick at it a little bit to get some of this off, so it will go down into the filter. Sometimes I have put a new filter in if it feels like, you know, there's not a, it's not going through very well. After a while, I'll dump it out, what's left, and I'll put a new filter in and see if I can get it to go a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that all the time, but sometimes it helps.
Well, and the other on this one, it was the reason we settled on the Chemex is we tried regular coffee filter. We tried open neck like in a mason jar. And if you don't have that bottleneck, it can fall through, right, over time. And so the Chemex is really nice because it forces it down into that small neck. And so that's
it's convenient.
That's important too.
And it just sits there, and it holds the whole bottle in there. And so I'm busy doing all my other things, and I check on it ever so often, and then I'll get more stuff out as I see it kind of recede down. And it's just I'm always looking in my cupboards to figure out what can make this easier, and I usually don't buy new stuff.
Okay, let's move on to the chocolate. So this is the chocolate vanilla extract. We started this in June, and this is the very first change out, I think, that we're doing for this one, right? Which is fun. So this is the moment. So again, page 92 of our book, chocolate vanilla extract, first change out. This is a big moment, because this is the moment where we make a decision whether or not we want to add more chocolate or let the chocolate continue to extract, or whether we want just the fluid remaining and we go more vanilla forward, right? Now, our goal with this recipe is we want more balance between chocolate and vanilla.
Yes. So the taste test now is just to see if there's enough like cacao flavor. And if there is, we'll remove the cacao, but we're going to leave the vanilla in so the vanilla can catch up to the chocolate. If you're just looking for a chocolate forward, you probably could try it now. It smells absolutely wonderful.
Really good.
So I'm going to just stick my
It's my favorite thing. We're taste testing. Good times.
I don't want to take the cacao out before I actually taste test it and make sure that it's where I want it to be. So I'm just getting a couple.
It's like a little teaspoon that we're using, right?
Oh, it's a tiny, tiny little.
And we're trying not to pour too much because it's a big opening. We don't want to spill it.
I'm trying not to get the cacao in my spoon.
Yep, and the cacao's thirsty. It's going to suck up a lot of that alcohol. And so this is one of those recipes where we may top off a little bit with alcohol as we get through it, which is totally fine. Again, it all depends on the level of concentration that you're looking for in the cacao and, with the vanilla. And again, like I said, our goal here is we like this one to be kind of an equal match, chocolate vanilla. Now, we expect, because cacao extracts much faster than vanilla beans.
Yes.
So we expect that this is going to be very chocolate heavy with maybe a hint of vanilla in the background. Mm-hmm. And if you like that, you could start using it right now if you wanted to. But we're saying, wait, let that vanilla do its thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, here we go. Let's see if it's chocolatey enough.
Okay, well, remember, nose it. Oh, man. It's all chocolate.
It's all chocolate.
It's almost like that's all I'm smelling.
Vanilla. There's a little vanilla in there. Mm-hmm. I can taste it, but
it's so good.
Yeah.
Chocolate extract, people, is just so much fun by itself. And we've got just a chocolate one as well. I mean, you can just go chocolate by itself in a vodka, let it go for a couple of months, and you get this. It's absolutely, this is wonderful for brownies, for all of your chocolate mousses. Oh, coffee. I mean,
coffee. You put it in your coffee.
Yeah. This is absolutely delicious, but it's chocolate. It's very, to find the vanilla, you really got to be looking for it, right?
Well, and we put an entire ounce of vanilla beans in here. So our intention is for this to be kind of an equal match, equal chocolate, equal vanilla. When we put a little less, sometimes, we're wanting the other ingredient to be more of the forward tasting, element of the extract. Okay, I'm going to just empty this out. Like Paul said, the cacao does absorb a lot of the alcohol. So we'll see what we have left over. I'm just going to, again, fish out all these wonderful beans, put those back. Some are tied, so I'm saving that caviar for another recipe. Ooh, and there's a little chocolate on that bean.
Mm-hmm. Mm. This one's so fun. It's the simple ones that often are everyone's favorites, right? Like chocolate and vanilla. Wish we could say we invented that. We did not invent putting chocolate and vanilla together, but you can see why it just happened naturally, because they're amazing. And we have a friend that is kind of we think she's like a professional chocolatier because her chocolate is absolutely amazing. She calls herself an amateur chocolatier, but I'm telling you, it's like perfection, the chocolates that she makes. But so we had a chocolate tasting at her house where she had brought in and processed these chocolates from all around the world because they all taste differently, a lot like vanilla does. But we talked about how vanilla actually accentuates the chocolate flavor. That the chocolate that we all kind of know and love in America, that what we were all raised on, has vanilla in it because the vanilla somehow releases the chocolate flavor notes to get like a richer, creamier chocolate. And so chocolate by itself sometimes, in some of the cases that we tried, was bitter. But as soon as you blend it with vanilla, all of a sudden it's more chocolatey by the way that we would define chocolate, right?
Yeah. And, she did this blind taste test with the chocolate. She put all these different chocolates on a plate, and we had to rate them by taste and then at the end what our favorite was. And really, I mean, how many people were at that tasting?
Oh, there were like 20 people.
She made her own with our cacao.
Yes.
And was it?
It was Tanzanian.
Tanzanian and Tahitian.
And the Sentani beans, or was it?
Oh, yes, it was Sentani
I think
beans.
it was Sentani beans with our Tanzanian cacao. And everyone was doing, we didn't even know, everyone was sort of doing like a blind taste test on their favorite chocolate. And overwhelmingly, of the 20 people that all voted, it was the Tanzanian cacao with the Sentani vanilla bean that really complemented each other. And it was just like this great chocolate experience.
And it was the overall favorite over
Yes.
the ones that she bought, at the chocolate store.
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to, again, I'm pushing the end of this out.
Now, this is another case where it's a really slow drip, very similar to this slow drip. And if we wanted, we could leave the strainer on top of this cup and we could maybe let it go for another hour or so and just let it fill up. For the sake of time, we're just going to like push out what we can push out, and it'll be maybe a little bit shy of the 8 ounces of alcohol when we remove it. When we talk about this, again, topping off, if you want to top off, you're certainly able and welcome to add a little bit more vodka, the original spirit that you used when you started, to top it off, because you've got a high concentration of cacao. People will say, well, then I'm diluting what I just extracted. And so you can go cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle until you get exactly 8 ounces at the extraction level, concentration level that you want. We just have topped it off, and it's been sufficient for what we do, and where we're talking about sort of how to do it within the kitchen. This has been the best way for us. But you're certainly welcome to top it off. When you do top it off, it dilutes it. If you want to add a little more cacao to get more concentration, you can do that. And you can just keep going and going and going and going and going until you hit the fluid level that you're looking for, right?
Yes.
So just to conclude on chocolate, we only lost maybe a quarter, a half of 1 ounce. So we ended up with like 7.5 ounces of the 8-ounce cup.
No, 3/4, maybe just a fourth of a loss of
a cup
of an ounce.
Of an ounce.
Yes,
Okay.
so we have 7
and 3/4 ounces.
Yes.
So we did really good. So the cacao drank up a little bit. We could probably let it drip and even get all the 8 ounces, but we did really good in terms of our fluid yield. The concentration of the chocolate when we tasted it is magnifico. It's wonderful. We loved it. So now what we want with this one, since it's called chocolate vanilla, is we want that vanilla to come forward. So we're putting it back in. We're going to check up on it. I didn't see the date part because
it goes for an entire year.
Uh-huh.
And we started this in June, so it will be finished next June, because we're giving that vanilla that whole year to extract. If I were you, I'd just go in and taste it every so often for fun.
Totally.
Because you can kind of see that the evolution of the vanilla coming in. Right now, the cacao is so strong, but over time, you'll start tasting more vanilla and more vanilla.
Yep. So, and then we always say it's ready when the maker says that it's ready. If you like the taste that you're getting, you're welcome to start using it. We have found that the sweet spot on any extract that includes vanilla beans with a light spoon is 1 year.
If you're using an entire ounce and it's the extract, yes.
Then it's 1 year. So for vanilla to really like get to its sweet spot, 1 year has been what we found when we're extracting that way. When you're using darker spirits like bourbons or dark rum, sometimes it takes 18 months. Some people even say 2 years to get the sweet spot. Is it a hard and fast rule? Nope. It's ready when you like it and you're ready to use it. But we found that it's worth the wait, like a vodka, vanilla, chocolate. Let it go a whole year and you're going to get a real sweet vanilla, right?
And I encourage you just to taste test it, through, have a little reminder, an alarm or something that reminds you to taste test certain extracts at certain times, just so you can taste that evolution of flavors coming through. And you might find that you don't need it to be a year. Maybe you like it at 6 months or 9 months. But taste testing is something really important to find where you like it.
There you go. I am just going through some of your comments now to make sure we haven't missed anything. And it looks like we're good. Jeanette's talking about whipped cream and chocolate sugar. Yes. Sentani beans are awesome. We think so. Debbie Bennett. I forget. Let's see. Pipettes are great for tasting at this point. I don't know what that is, a pipette.
Oh, it's the little like medicine dropper type thing you put in and you Pour it out. Yeah.
I was thinking little pipe, like little Popeye the Sailor with just a little pipe, right? Remember the little Popeye that was always a big? That's what I was thinking, a pipette. That's where mine goes. My mind goes to Popeye the Sailor and his little sidekick that had the mini pipe. I know. My mind sometimes, people. Peaches in real sugar, you'll think you went. Canned peaches with vanilla sugar in your simple syrup. You will think you went to heaven, says Nancy. Oh my gosh, Nancy.
That is dessert right there.
That is such a great point.
Those peaches in the winter. Ooh, I'm going to try it.
Yeah. Susan Hovorka found hype-proof rum in Montana that's 151 proof. That'll work. So you just kind of have to do the math in your head. 151 proof is going to be, what, 75% alcohol? So if you cut 75 exactly in half, then that goes to 32.5, which is too much. So that means you don't want to cut it exactly in half with your fresh fruit. So if you have 8 ounces of alcohol, you'll want to add a little bit more than, a little under 8 ounces in fresh fruit. So you'd want to add like 7 ounces of fresh fruit to your 8 ounces of 151 proof. And that should get you right into the sweet spot of about 140. You can't do change outs, but it'll work. You just have to do a little bit of that math to make sure that you're okay.
Oh, I wish I could remember the name of the rum that we used. My brain is just...
We'll have to watch the other show. Debbie put cherries in the freezer, didn't care for the taste of the boozy cherries. Now I know I'll make sure. We were the exact same way. We just couldn't get rid of that taste. We thought we would, but it's really hard. That Everclear is just so strong.
It was very, very strong. I had to add more, definitely more sugar, but then I got more sugar in at the end. So, I'm going to save some of this for Valentine's Day and do something cute because I've got this cute pink sugar. I don't know. It's fun.
Connie Robinson Alexander says she adores the Don Q 151 rum. So that's another great one. So again, it would be like 8 ounces of rum to like 7 ounces of fresh fruit, and then you'd be okay. But you can't go 1-to-1 with that.
No change outs.
No change outs.
And you can always go to freeze dried.
And you can always go to dried fruit. Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Okay. We are just done with change outs. We've got just a few minutes left. We're going to have to go quick.
Oh, I can go quick.
Yes. We've got 2 more extracts that we're going to do, brand new ones. We're going to make our raspberry vanilla extract from page 133 of our book, The Art of Extract Making. Let's go ahead and dive in. This is with fresh raspberries.
Yes, these raspberries have been washed. I want to emphasize that once you wash them, you want to make sure they are completely dry, because once you measure them, you're adding water and you're not going to get as many raspberries as you want. So don't rush the process. Wash them and let them dry out, and then weigh them so you can get all the raspberries you want in that extract.
Exactly.
So this is 8 ounces. And these are so good. I just want to pop one in my mouth. I cannot get raspberries to grow at my house. I have a bajillion blackberries, but my raspberries don't ever seem to produce very much.
We have a raspberry bush right next to our blackberry bush, and the blackberry one just wins. It's a bully. Maybe that's the problem. He's just taking everything out of the soil because it just grows like mad. But the raspberry one, we have the hardest time getting anything out of it. So not like we've spent hours and hours, gardening out there doing that. Most of our time is spent in the kitchen making extracts. So if we garden more, maybe we would have figured out the raspberry problem. We do have lots of apples this year, which we're excited about.
Yes.
But the deer are more excited because deer love apples. And so we have deer all over the yard all the time eating our, you need the, here it is.
I've got the Everclear. I'm going to put, this is 8 ounces of raspberries with 8 ounces of Everclear.
So we're pouring in the 8 ounces of Everclear with 8 ounces of fresh fruit. So this is 195 proof Everclear. So almost 100% alcohol. Fresh fruit, if you Google the moisture content of raspberries, you'll find that it's, right around 90%. So it's almost very high water. So the fresh fruit or the water inside the raspberries, when it's released into the alcohol, dilutes the Everclear. We're going to get our alcohol content below 50%. And that's the reason when we throw the vanilla beans in, that they don't get ruined, right? They don't burn.
Okay, we're going to, I didn't add the vanilla. I better do that.
Let's do that.
I forgot to do that. I was so worried about the camera. These are Tongan vanilla beans. and they have a fun little sweet, kind of like a cherry licorice aspect to them, kind of that star anise flavor.
Tongan's one of our favorite vanilla beans to
It's
use with
very
fresh fruit.
unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with the fruit, it just adds kind of that fruitiness. I'm
And
gonna have to push
Tongan was
these
maybe
in.
like the fifth or sixth vanilla bean that I think we ever launched, and it has been a favorite since the very beginning. They're very rare. They're hard to get. There's just a couple of small farms that produce them, and so you can't get them in very big quantity, and you know, just a few people have them to be able to offer them. But they're a tricky bean to find and source and get a hold of because they just don't produce the quantity. And then many of you will recall there was a huge volcano that went off that caused a tsunami that wiped out a lot of the farmland of Tonga. The farmers that we work with specifically were fortunate that they weren't affected by it, but it certainly made it even harder to get anything in and out of Tonga for some period of time. But knock on wood, everyone is doing well now. The harvests are good. We've got the vanilla beans, and the farmers appreciate it whenever we order their products because that's their livelihood.
Yep.
So
Okay.
anyway, so we're all done here with the raspberry. This one's just fun to look at.
It is pretty,
Isn't it pretty?
Look at that.
These are ones you don't like putting behind the dark, in the dark place to, you know, to mature. You kind of want to leave these out on the counter just because they're pretty, which you totally can do. But we recommend that it goes into a cool, dark place away from sunshine. It's the UV rays that'll change the outcome and the taste compounds and the flavor compounds. So a lot of that's why amber jars, and there's a bunch of information on vanillapure.com about it, why people use amber versus other. We like clear just so we can see it, we can watch the extraction, but it means you got to store it in a place where you can't show it off all the time.
Yes. But when people come over, sometimes I get it out.
Sure. Because it's fun. Well, they're always like, okay, what extract are you working on now?
Yeah.
What's the new one?
My niece comes over. She's like, what do we have going? So cute. I do want to say, I normally put the vanilla beans in the bottom, but I got a little distracted there with the camera. It'll be okay. Just make sure that all the vanilla bean, the raspberries and the vanilla beans are covered in the alcohol. A little bit of is poking out of the top. I'm going to let time kind of absorb some of the raspberries, and then they'll start sinking, and then I'll go in and just kind of push everything down. If I notice that the raspberries or the vanilla sticking out, I can always dump it, put the beans in the bottom. But most of the time I don't have to do that. It works out. Just give it time and everything kind of settles in, and then just push it down and you'll be fine. Yeah,
a lot of people will comment that if the beans are sticking out, they'll mold. We've never, ever, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I never say never or ever, but I can't think of a single instance where a vanilla bean sticking out of the fluid has molded on us. The issue is that anything sticking out of the fluid, it's not extracting. Yeah. That's the issue, is that if it's not fully submerged, you're not getting the extracts out of the part that's sticking out. And we want as much of that vanilla extract as we can. So some of you may have had other experiences where maybe it has, but in our case, I've never seen a vanilla bean mold when it's 90% of the way in and the tip is sticking out. But it certainly is not extracting when it's out of the alcohol.
Yeah, so I just go in and do a little check, usually in the morning. I'm having a little coffee and I open my cupboard and just check on my little extracts to make sure they're all down.
There we go. So we got like 5 minutes left, and we've got one more extract to do. And this is I think this is our first. We have a couple of coconut extracts in the book, right? We've got two, and this is our very first one that we're doing a video of. So Let me just set it up. This is page 111 of The Art of Extract Making. This is our creamy coconut vanilla extract, which is think coconut cream pies, think holiday cooking.
Oh, wonderful.
It's coconut. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So go ahead and walk us through it.
Okay, so this is unsweetened coconut. I don't add sugar to our extracts. I did add sugar to this caramel one through the caramel. That's why we kind of said it was an infusion. But all my other extracts, I don't add anything with sugar in them unless it's just naturally in the fruit. So this is shredded coconut that's unsweetened.
It's unsweetened. It is a fruit, correct? Coconut. And so it does have a little bit of moisture in it. We were actually Googling this today, just because we always want to be aware, like, how much moisture are we adding to our alcohol? And what we found is that there is a tiny little bit of moisture in shredded coconut, but very little, almost insignificant, correct?
Yeah, less than 2.5%.
There you go. Jill went kind of deep down the rabbit hole on that one. Now, this recipe calls for a rum. Rums are usually around 40% alcohol. But just as training, you always want to be cognizant of the moisture that you're adding to your alcohol to make sure that you're doing your best to not dip below that 35%. So in the case of dried coconut, if there's a little bit of moisture in it, you just want to be cognizant of that, right? And it's better to start with a 40% alcohol instead of a 35%, just to allow for a little bit of dilution, right?
Yep. Okay, so the beans we're adding are just two Mexican pompona beans. I love how fat these are. They have that fun kind of figgy, earthy flavor that we get from the pompona beans. And then in addition, you get that Mexican side of things that has a little bit of a spice and maybe a little bit of a mocha aspect to it.
And it's interesting because this is the same species of vanilla bean as the Peruvian one that you see that is, one bean is 1 ounce, but grown in Mexico and in the soils of Mexico, they mature a little bit faster. And so they end up being a little shorter, a little fatter in terms of width, but have that sort of characteristic Mexican vanilla spice mocha like we talked about.
Yep. I'm just going to slice them down the middle and cut them open. This is going to be ready in 1 month. And so I just want all I can get in this extract. I love all the little specks. So I'm going to cut them open, and then I'm just going to put in a cup of I should have got my funnel in here. A cup of unsweetened coconut.
Doesn't want to pour. They've all kind of stuck together a little bit, so you can't pour it clean.
So, I forgot my funnel. My canning funnel would have been great here.
Yeah. So the Oaxaca bean, now I think in the book we mentioned the Hawaiian bean. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
But we had Oaxaca. We like Oaxaca. This is another point, and we say this all the time about our book. The book is intended to give you a baseline where you begin, and then you guys everyone can deviate and start making their own creation and kind of go away. So we're trying to teach sort of the right principles, so you understand the principles of extract making, and then you guys can sort of take and run with it. In this case, we had a Oaxaca. We love Oaxaca. We thought it would be a good taste. When we wrote the book, we were using a Hawaiian bean with it. A Hawaiian bean is spectacular. And so we deviated a little bit here just to try one with Oaxaca, but Hawaiian, Oaxaca, and in this, most vanilla beans here would be fantastic,
and
right?
We give the option in the book to try either one, just to give you some ideas of where to start.
Yeah, play around, have fun, find the one that you like the most.
That rum.
Pass the Bacardi, she says.
Okay, this is a white rum. You could use a spiced, I guess, if you wanted to have a little bit of a different flavor. But this is going to be all of the coconut and vanilla flavor, nothing else added.
Yeah, we didn't want anything to sort of encumber the taste at all. And as you know, rum is white rum. It's kind of, I want to say tasteless, but I know that it's not. It's a little hotter. You need the muddle. It's a little bit hotter and spicier. Spicy is even the wrong word. It's just a little hotter than like vodka, but it's sugar based, so it's a little bit sweeter over time. And so that's why we chose the rum. The sweetness of the rum is fantastic. So you're going to use the muddle to
just push it down. This is another one that likes to absorb a lot of the liquid, so you're going to just want to kind of keep an eye on it. You can put your weight in if you want, but that has peaches on it, so I don't want to do that. But yeah, just smells good already.
Yeah, coconut's such a fun one. So this is an easy one. It's fun. Again, coconut cream pies, any sort of coconut fruit-based dessert. There's a lot of fun uses for coconut vanilla. And we put vanilla in everything because it just seems like vanilla makes everything a little bit better, just like with the chocolate, right? It just adds a little extra sweetness and smoothness to all that we do.
Yeah, let's come back just real quick before we wrap up. I want to come back to our caramel, our peach and caramel.
Really quick, Did said, it sounds like a lot of you have tried making this extract. I think I just might have to try it too. That's right. You see, Did. Buckle up, Did. You're going to need like an expansion to your pantry, and here you go. Like, you're going to need your own, like an armoire? What do you call it? Like a stand where you put vases and it's just all extracts. What's the word I'm thinking of? I can't, like a
Just a
buffet
little
or a
pantry
pantry thing, but against the wall. Why can't I think of the word? There you go. A buffet. See, I don't know all the cool words, but yes, buckle up. You're gonna need furniture is the point.
You guys, we're getting dead.
I know, we're getting dead.
Getting her.
We're getting dead. Okay, so let's
Okay.
now let's we'll put a comma there. We'll go back to where we began, and I don't know if we're going to be ready to add more peaches at this point,
We're not,
but we'll show everyone.
See that it has receded a little bit, so I can see a little bit more of my where my vanilla is, and I just want to move things around here so you can kind of see what it all looks like when you're going to be done with the caramel.
So you can point to the lines where the fluid started at the start versus where it is now. You can see it's gone down, and then we can look at the bottom of the jar. We've got, I don't know, maybe a fourth of what we're looking for that has come through. So it's still some more time that we're going to let this thing drip and drip and drip.
And I'm not worried about getting all of this off because I am going to filter it one more time. So I'm just putting the vanilla beans back in. But the good portion of the caramel squares that are still kind of solidified and absorbent, I want to get rid of those because I don't want to lose any more of my alcohol and fruit juice in here.
Yep. So really this first step is all about removing the clumps, getting the big pieces of caramel, removing all the old peaches, and you've got big chunks of peaches and caramel in there together. There's a good example as you're moving it, right?
And I can just put this in another bowl so I can open up more surface area for the filter to drain. Now that I can kind of see the difference between everything, I can kind of just play with it and then squeeze out some more liquid out of some of the peaches and the caramel here.
And even as you're doing this, the drips have kind of turned into a stream as we're sort of freeing up the fluid and letting it get further down.
Yeah.
So now it's like streaming instead of just like a slow drip. And then we can muddle if we want to muddle all the moisture out of the peaches that you're pulling out, right? The clumps.
Yeah.
But we're going to let this keep dripping and dripping and dripping for a few more hours.
Yeah, it takes a while. If you want, you can always put a fresh filter in. Sometimes that helps things go a little bit faster, but it's not necessary. And then again, you're going to add in your fresh peaches, 4 ounces. I'm just going to put that in right now with my vanilla. And then I'm going to put the jar on. Whoops, just like throwing peaches everywhere.
I love those pinchers, the tweezers.
Pinchers.
Pinchers. You know what I was thinking of? Chopsticks. I'm like, that's like chopstick cheating. Next time we have sushi, I'm just going to get those out. Even I can use those. Exactly. That totally worked, right?
He's proficient in chopsticks. Don't listen to him. Okay, I want you to see just the bottom. Now I can kind of tilt it. There isn't a ton down there. We still have a lot to go. Can you see that?
We'll switch to the extract cam here. There we go.
See, there's still quite a bit in there. I'm going to let it go a little bit longer, maybe switch out this filter, and then I'm also going to push down on some of this peaches, the caramel that I removed. So I'll definitely be short than what, on the 8 ounces. I'm not going to be, because so much was absorbed into the peaches and the caramel. I'll be a little short. But that's okay. I'm not going to add any at this point because this doesn't go for 12 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then with the added moisture from the peaches that we just put in, it'll all kind of filter out and we'll have even more and we'll get to our final. So we're going to let this do its thing and then we'll show you what it looked like at the start of the next workshop. We'll show you kind of how it all finished out. But really the point that we wanted to show is just the slow go on this. It takes a minute. The caramel kind of gets in the way a little bit. Let it drip, 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 and then you'll get that finished extract that is lovely.
That looks like this.
Yep.
And this is a little less than 8 ounces is what's in this bottle here.
Okay, there we go. That doesn't look very appealing. If you just started the show and looked at that, you'd be like, what are they making here? Well, we're like, that's gruel.
This is the one extract that we get lots and lots of questions on. You guys know in the group, we get questions, we get emails, we get all kinds of, like, this is gross looking. Is this right? They'll send us pictures. We're like, you're good.
You're
Everything's gonna
good.
be just fine.
Yep, it's a fun one. So we'll put a comma there. We're going to let this go on our counter for a couple more hours. We'll have the update in our next workshop where we'll come in and we'll do that last change out where we put it through the filter one last time, get out the last peaches and clear out all of that last caramel, right?
Well, and next month we'll have all 3 peach extracts to finish out and get the last of the peaches out. So we'll be visiting peaches one more time.
One more time. So there we go. We're a little bit late. Thanks so much to all of you that hung out. We always like to give away a $25 gift card at the end of these, just to say thanks to everyone for hanging out with us, and our apologies for going a little bit over. I think with the technical and everything else, it was just one of those shows. But one of the very first people we saw, her smiley face, and we love her so much. She's been with us, from the very beginning, and I'm looking at her right now, Ruth Batten. Ruth, we love you, Ruth. Yeah.
We love you. Ruth Ann, you're a sweetie.
Yes. So we've got a $25 gift card coming your way because you're Ruth Ann. We just love you. So thanks for hanging out with us and always being at these shows. It's been fun.
We love all of you. You're
do.
like you're a friend.
You are.
I just feel like we've met so many wonderful people in this group. We just had our 4-year anniversary, and
Wow.
many of you have been here with us that whole time.
I know. It's been just absolutely crazy how fast time flies, but what a journey. Now here we are, and our kitchen's got alcohol and extracts and just everything. Like you guys know, that's why we like it. We're kind of like a support group or an enabling group. I'm not quite sure yet.
Both.
It's both. We support the enabling of extract making.
Yes, I don't feel so alone because I know I'm a vanilla nerd. I do, but so are you.
Ruth Ann, she's blowing kisses. Thank you, Ruth Ann, Debbie, Thomas, LaDawn, it's good to see you. Jeanette Ainsworth, hello. I'm just going through. Lori Lanford, hello, Lori. Dana, it's good to see you there. Susan, hi. Debbie Bennett, and then we've got Jeanette. I don't see a picture, Jeanette, but thanks for being with us. We love Jeanette and Connie, Sandy, Darlena, Nancy, Ron. Just what a great group of people. So thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. We'll see you again in October, and then we'll have another one in November, and then another one right around middle of December before we get into Christmas time, and that'll be it until January, right? So we got a whole lot coming up over the next 3 months, and we'll be excited to share some moments with you then. In the meantime, happy extracting, and we'll see you next time. Have a great one. Goodbye.